What is up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Bullish Top Stocks to Watch for the week and why. And before we get into it, as always, hey, just a few things. These are only my opinions. Do your own due diligence. I'm not a financial planner or advisor. I'm just an idiot with a microphone and a camera. Also, realbullish.com. Go sign up for our newsletter. The next 50 people that sign up for that newsletter, just do like another random drawing, giveaway, a free shirt. Check out, and also go get some bullish merch. I'll drop the link in the show description. But also, yeah, go buy some merch. They're kind of cool. So I mean, and I've watched this one a couple times already. Feels good, feels better every time, and go help support. I would appreciate that. Give us a sub here as well on YouTube. Help me feel good about myself. And realbullish.com. Realbullish.com. Sign up for our newsletter, but also real_bullish wherever you get your social media poison. I'm pretty active on Twitter, Instagram, and stock puts and all that good stuff. I didn't set my timer, so I'm not sure how long this is gonna last. But let me go start it now, and let's talk some shit. All right, going into it. The first one I'm gonna look at is Saratoga Investment Corp. Hopefully, you can see my screen. But basically, they have earnings coming up on 10/5, right? 10/5. I believe it's before market opens. They have an earnings coming up, and Saratoga SAR is a financial asset management company. They help with acquisitions. When you have to raise money and mergers and stuff like that. And I think it's an interesting one just because their same quarter year over year EPS. So looking at this time last year, their earnings per share the estimate is expected to be 92% or is 92% over what the last quarter was or same year last quarter. I think that's a pretty once you get to the hundreds for EPS estimate increases, I think it's pretty substantial. The only thing about this one is so if you look at that last quarter that it's expected to be 92% more EPS, they beat it so much. So they can still they did so well that they could still beat it this quarter, that estimate, and still come in under what they did that last quarter, just because they beat it so much last year this time, right? So I kind of want to wait for this one a little bit. I've as I look past my trades and stuff, I'm always wondering like, damn, it beat the shit out of earnings. What's going on? And what I've come to notice is that you can still beat last. Like you can still have the estimated EPS over X amount last quarter or last year quarter, but still come in under what what it actually was. So you kind of have to play with that, right? So they just did such a good job same quarter last year that you something to look out for. But looking at the last 12 quarters, right? Not to get too in the weeds, but looking over the last 12 quarters, and what I liked about this one is 91% of the time they beat EPS, right? They meet or exceed EPS looking over the last 12 quarters. And over the last 6 quarters, right, that they've reported, the price raises 83% of the time, right? So it beats and usually raises over the last 12 and 6 quarters after they release earnings. So I think those are all really good things. The only other cautionary tale I have besides like, hey, they could still beat EPS and come in under last quarter or year's quarter is they're about 1.5% under the average analyst price target. So they're close to fair value if you look at the averages. So I would want some more meat on the bones there, but the market's saying like, hey, the price and the average price are pretty close together. So that could be good or bad, but usually you don't want to see 60% like it was with apps a few months ago. But you kind of want to see a little bit more meat on the bones to say you're getting that value, right? I do like it's in an upward channel, and it's testing the all-time highs that it had back in July 2018, right? So I think if it stayed at this level on this channel, I think it'll be really interesting. I want to see it come down to about 27.77 area, and I'll show you why I think that. But look, if you look at the charts, I like to do month, week, day. I really like it. It's not too bad, right? You do have this double top here, going back to July 2018. So a few years ago. So hopefully you can stay above that area. I want to see it retest that and use it as support. That's how I'm going to look at this in terms of getting in. So this is not a play for me before earnings. It's going to be more earnings to see what it does, just because of those two things I talked about before. It can still beat and come under, and it's kind of close to that average price. But at the month level, hey, I think it's doing what it needs to do, right? It's making, from this double bottom here, March of 2020, let's say, it's doing really well, right? That was that COVID breakout right there, shakeout. And then, RSI is coming to correction territory at the month level. MACD, moving average convergence divergence, is still diverted to be bullish, right? It's still going that way. This is still going that way. More meandering. You have really no average volume coming in since, let's say 421. But that's okay, But there's been no sell off, but it's been constantly raising. You see this kind of channel that I'll go into a little bit, but it is an area of important all time highs, right? It's testing those all time highs. So I think it's always good when you're testing those all time highs at the week level. Same difference, right? It looks pretty good to me. It's just making higher highs and higher lows. This is a very bullish chart to me, but I still would use caution, and I have my alerts here to set what I'm going to do. I want to see it come down, but I wouldn't mind it breaking out after earnings, right? I wanted to break out after earnings because I'm going to use that as the catalyst for me to say, okay, great, I can get into it. But basically, it's in an upward channel, right? If you look at the week level, upward channel coming in, right? It's just playing in this level. I want to catch it here, so maybe I'm a little bit late here, but I think that still. You have volume coming in, starting to come in over average almost. You have RSI wanting to pick up this week. This is exactly kind of what you want to see going into earnings. It's kind of like meandering, but like in an upward channel. MACD is still kind of staying flat. So I think this is really trying to wait for earnings to kind of see what it's going to do. Again, like I said, I'm cautious because it can still beat and come under what it was. So that's something to think about. And at the day level, still kind of same difference, right? You still see that channel, and I love to look at multiple time frames to see if that pattern or if that channel or whatever is still doing what it's supposed to do. And what I see is, it's kind of like staying in this industry range, right? If you're in it, you're getting chopped up because it's not sure what it wants to do. It's going sideways. You see RSI is kind of going flat. It's stuck in here in that like 57 range, right? 70 and 30 are areas of possible correction, and it's kind of just staying flat. MACD is kind of staying flat. What I want to see, what I hope happens, and you see I have two alerts here. If it breaks out, tell me. If it fakes out, tell me. I'm hoping for a fake out and catch it close to this 27, let's say 86 area here. What I see is that it does have channel support here. So you see that upward channel, right? Boom, boom. And you also have all-time high support here. If you look over like month level and go all the way back, that was that double top that we looked at the month level. So I want to see it come down a little bit, and that's where I'm going to want to get into it, right? Because I think that if you look at earnings, it's a solid company. Seeking Alpha is kind of bullish on it as well. I just think that I'm going to wait a little bit for earnings, but I think it's a really interesting one, right? And I'm trying to get more into the habit of looking at earnings now. Over the past month, earnings have been a little bit lighter, but as we ramp up to the earnings season again, which is like gonna happen really, really soon. Just practicing it more and looking into it more. I love playing earnings. So far this year, it's been a good one for me, and I'm just trying to get a little bit better at it. I'm not trying to hit anything out of the park, but I'm trying to play smartly. Anyways, another one that I was looking at for earnings a month ago, is ABM Industries. Basically, for this one, I was looking at it before earnings, and what I like a lot of things about this chart, but basically they had earnings on 9/8. They're a janitorial and building services company, right? Pays a dividend. It's a value company, right? So it's not the sexiest company, but that's okay. I'm not trying to be sexy with my picks. I'm trying to make fucking money and be right? So they had earnings on 9/8, right? And so their EPS beat estimates by 11%. Their revenue beat estimates by 3%, and they raised guidance. So beat, raise, and then it sold off, right? There was a lot of things going into that. They were actually in the middle. ABM Industries was actually in the middle of a acquisition, which had just closed. And I think you see that in the chart. If I go into the day level, it just closed this past week. Able Services, acquisition of Able Services. It's going to help their engineering, services, and green initiatives, generating a combined $2 billion annualized revenue, right? So that acquisition finally closed. Now we're going to see those tailwinds come into play to help ABM because, janitorial services, building, green, engineering, whatever, that's what's going to be post-COVID to me. So this is more of a post-COVID play as things start opening up, as people are going back to work, as more and more places are going to need these sanitation services to kind of be, comply with kind of like what the public policy should be in terms of cleanliness, right? That new normal after COVID. So this is exactly what it is to me. Again, it's not the sexiest, but it's a dividend provider. So, I think it's like a 76% dividend annually. So, I think this is going to be a really good one going into the future. It's not a new company. I think it's been around for fucking 100 years or so. But still, I think it's the perfect company for like this post-COVID play. So like I said, they just finished their acquisition of Able Services. It just was like a few days ago while I was out of town. Also, a couple things interesting that came up in the news recently. They have a project with the New York City Transit Center to help the electrification of their buses. So I think that's an interesting one as well. And also a possible pennant, right? If you know flag formations, and like I said, I'll go into the charts real quick. It looks like a pennant to me. So you can play this multiple ways. I'm going to play the breakout. I'm already in it, honestly. I've been in it for a little while because I was looking at this before earnings. I don't think I made a video that week, but this is really one that I've been watching basically since the week before their earnings. So that week of like 9/1 or something like that. But anyways, what I like about it at the month level is it's doing what you wanted to do, right? It was definitely it's definitely the RSI is picking up, over, March 20, right? again, it's COVID shakeout, right? Things are closing. It's taking a while to get back to it, but I think that's going to be accelerated as people go back to the office. RSI is in that kind of like 58 territory, so just kind of staying in the middle there. Possible area of correction at 70 because that's what it. But this thing is a hot runner at the month level. This is 79, 78, 79, and that was the area of correction for it. So there's still a lot of meat on the bones at the month level for RSI. MACD is still kind of pinching to almost want to be bullish there as well. You can kind of see it there. So those are kind of just staying in the same area. I do like this. I like that you can see the pennant on multiple time frames, right? You have boom, you have this here. No over average volume that's been bullish, or bearish basically since March. So this is kind of like just a sneaky one, right? Sneaky. So at the month of, I like a lot of things about it. It's finding support at this area where you needed it to, right? It needed to find support here at this area of, let's say, $45, right? And why? It's because that it was that area of support before, right? It's not rocket science, right? It's on the shirt. It's not rocket science. It's just stock trading. Look at the shirt, man. But anyways, this area right here, it's been an area of resistance before, and then it was area of support, area of significance, and it found its footing there, which I really like about it. At the week level, you still see that pennant, right? A little bit closer here. You see RSI kind of coming up. MACD is barely going to round out to be bearish. So it hasn't been bullish since 517 of this year, and now it's kind of on the MACD level. It's rounding out to be bullish as well. And I think it was waiting for that able services thing to close to kind of acquisitions. When you're acquiring someone, the market's gonna fucking fuck with you a little bit, and that's exactly what we saw here. And what I loved about this and why I got into it is because it had a lot of channel support at the bottom of that pennant, I guess, and that's what I was looking at. Every time it touched the bottom, I looked at it again to buy more. I like that this is like I said, at the week level, RSI is coming up, MACD is coming up. You see the strong green candle, and it's not like it's overvalued yet because it's just starting to cross the 10 EMA. It's the 10 EMA, the 25 EMA, and it found support at the 50. So it's just starting to come up. To me, it hasn't been missed yet. Oh, sorry, I went too far. At the day level, you can basically see when the thing was solidified, right? So this candle on 10-1, there was probably some news literally, yeah. So yeah, 9:30, right? So 9:30. Basically, that news came out at the end of last month, start of this month, and you see that, right? You see that in here. Oh, great, acquisition came in, and you haven't missed it yet because with pendants, the breakout happens at the breakout of the pendant. So there's still some meat on the bones there. For me, I've been in it for a little while. So this was earnings right here that came out. So great earnings, like I said, shit south, and that was fine for me because I was going to catch it at this lower level and then ride it up, because I knew it was a company that that made a lot of progress. Look at this balance sheet; it seemed pretty legit. So again, at the day level, you see RSI was going down. It did, like I said, hey, 30 and 70 are possible areas of correction. It's exactly what it did. It wanted to cross over to it, hit 30, and then now it rebounded then from there, right? And you see price action following suit with that, right? You see candle action. You see, it ran out of steam here. Sellers came in; they couldn't push it any lower, and now buyers are starting to step in. You see MACD coming out. So I think this is an interesting one as it crosses this area. But for me, because I like the company, I like the dividend. It's something that I will hold a little bit longer, even if it didn't break out. The other one that I'm going to look at, this is a repeat from last week, is this one here, Oscar Health. And if you want to go into my bull thesis of why I'm looking at Oscar Health, watch the last video. It broke it down, but basically there was heavy insider buying on 9-2. It was like millions of shares, or sorry, like I forgot exactly how many shares now I'm thinking about it. I think it's almost $9 million worth of shares were bought at an average price of 1807. And as you see, like here, and this is not basically the lockup period expired, so people could start selling insiders could start selling shares literally at this date, and that's what you see, right? People are selling, people are buying, but I think that so that huge like $9 million worth of shares bought was basically by its co-founder, Jared Kushner's brother, and basically he bought it at an average price of 1807. So for me, anything below that's going to be interesting. They actually just had a news release, Oscar Health, of partnership with Miami and Chicago health systems. So those are two huge health systems that they're now partnering with, which is really cool. I'm waiting for the break of about 1822. That's what you see here. I was actually not home this week. I was gone for work. I work in the healthcare industry. And that's why I enjoy Oscar, because it was a conference that we went to. Basically, a bunch of people came in, and we were, healthcare is fragmented, healthcare is fucked up, and I don't know which company is going to like be the winner. But it's not a zero sum game. There could be multiple healthcare tech companies that could be the winner. Look into Oscar Health. It's really interesting. I really like their marketing and their technology. But basically, it's a new company, right? It's only been publicly traded for a little while. I want to say it started trading. Basically, yeah, see, it's been down since then, but basically it started trading around what day is this? I don't even know. 321, right? And what I like at the month level is it just basically sold off after it went public, but you see a strong hammer here, and it's been using this strong hammer bottom as an area of support, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at. This is super speculative play for me, but I'm interested because sorry, Brian, because it's an industry. It's gonna get disrupted. Just not sure by who, but I think that Oscar has a really good chance to kind of make an impact and make a difference. And I think people are kind of waiting for that breakout. Once this breaks out of 1822 with a candle that holds, it's going to be interesting. It did that in the week, but it's just like poking up, right? It's yeah, you see that kind of like it's going there, but it's just too heavy of a resistance line right now. That can be good or that can be bad. That can be good in the sense of it's giving you a chance to get it, or it can be bad, in terms of like it's never going to break that and it's going to sell off. For me, I have a plan. If it breaks below my area of support, I'm going to just get out, right? Or I'll just hold it. I'm in this with money that I don't care about. I care about a lot. I care about money a lot, but it's not like something I'm like trying to make a buck on right now. I think that it's an interesting industry to play. Okay, another one, CRM. Trying to do this in like 20 minutes or less. CRM, what I like about Salesforce is there was a gap up that happened, but also I see an interesting cup and handle forming for this bad boy here. So if I'm not going to go into what a cup and handle is, but basically you can kind of see it here: cup, handle, breakout on the month level, week level, and day level. So you see a really interesting cup and handle kind of forming here, but there's a couple interesting areas here. There's an upward channel momentum here, and there's it's a possible area of breaking out to all-time highs. So that's super exciting. Usually with cup and handles, you can basically take the base of the cup with the breakout of the handle, right? And then layer that on top. So for that would be a price target at about 338, right? If you wanted to kind of play it that way. So I think there's a lot of meat on the bones there. But at the week level, you kind of still see that cup and handle formation happening. You see the break. You see this retest. It's about I don't know, you see a little like retest there, or candle kind of forming. It's kind of a smaller handle, I'm not going to lie. But maybe for CRM, I'm interested in it for the long term, so I don't mind batting the break, even if the handle breaks down a little bit more. But it's an interesting area here because, like I said, you have that channel support over the past, let's say since 510, and you have the area of all-time highs. And what you see is at the week level, it did try to break down, and then it caught it at that level of all-time highs. So let's see what it wants to do there. This is going to be a slow buy for me. I'm not trying to like hit a home run with this one, but I think that Salesforce, there's been so many interesting catalysts coming out for it. You see this gap up here, that was their Dreamforce, which is their big conference. There's another conference for Tableau, one of their products, I think in November. But basically, Mark Benioff at Dreamforce, he came and said, "Hey, we're going to raise guidance again for the next quarter." So this was that was that exuber that euphoria right here, right? That cup gap up. You did see, usually gaps want to be filled. This one, it tried to sell off. This is just market correction in terms of the general market. But it was interesting because it slammed into this area, and I was like, oh, cool, break this because I want to catch it here. And it didn't actually do that. Not to say it's not going to, but I expected this gap to get filled, and it didn't. So to me, that's an interesting area of support, especially after it breaks its all-time high record. You do see like, hey, it broke out of the cup and it retraced, enough here, like let's say 9% maybe. But basically, you do see a cup and handle. It's a smaller handle, but I think with all of the tailwinds for CRM, it makes sense because there's just so much good news coming about it. So I like it as long as it stays over this area, but I would even buy it if it dips down, right? So CRM is another one for me. The other one, sorry, I'm almost done, I promise. AFRM. And this was my boy Chill Trades. Go follow him on Twitter. Chill Trades. He's probably one of the smartest dudes I know. But basically, I was like, "Hey, you watching anything?" He's like, "A firm looks interesting." He noted an inside day at the month level. I'm sorry, at the day level. Basically, an inside day is this candle here. You see how it's kind of within the range of the previous day candle. So it's an area of indecision, right? So usually you see some movement after that. It's a small inside day area too. So I would expect the next one's going to be outside of that, just because this is so small. That's just pure speculation. It's interesting how we see two different things though. He sees this as an area to maybe trade on Monday because of that inside day. I actually agree that it's an interesting one. It's interesting to look at, but I would expect this to maybe even break down because if you notice, this is almost another cup and handle, right? So affirm, hey, cup and handle possibly. I would play this differently from CRM because this is a pure speculation. This is pure hype. This is like valuation, like through the moon type shit here. So even though it's a similar pattern to CRM, because the fundamentals at a fundamental level, the company isn't the same as CRM, I play this completely differently. I'm going to wait for the break and not want to buy anything below that. So the handle is about 14% from the break of the cup, right? So if you look at it, let's see. here, right, you can see kind of like that breaking down a little bit from the lip of the handle, which is interesting to me. But at the week level, day level, month level, you kind of still see that here. You see this, yeah, you see about a 14% breakout from the top of the cup to the handle, right? And I think that we'll kind of it could still break down a little bit more. But the interesting thing about this one is if you break it down and you add that price target on top of it, right? So if this goes to 200, which it definitely can, I think you'll see kind of that area kind of increasing over there. But yeah, because there's this interesting book called the Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, and he talks about at the hundreds, 200, 300s, once companies start breaking that price target for the first time, it usually runs to the mid 20s ish. That's an approximation, but still, it's something that I think holds true and something I look at because if this at the breakout of this cup and handle, it's going to push it close to that 200 level. If you, like I said, if you take the base to the lip and then layer that price target on top, it's going to take it pretty close to that 200 level possibly, and then you'll have that kind of euphoria for the market to kind of put it in that maybe in the teens or the 20s in terms of 200 price area, right? So that's an interesting one for me. I'm looking for a reversal soon. I think it's going to be pretty soon, but the market's just the price action right now is telling me that it still has breakout, and that's why I had this alert here or up here. I want to see it kind of closer to this 107 area, but it would even be better if it broke down to this 99 area for me. But I think the price action, hey, you had this euphoria coming in. It was straight. The RSI was at 80, cooling off. You see RSI going down, MACD going down. So I think this is a little bit the opposite of CRM, where like it's still the price action still pushing down versus going up. You see it when you zoom out. You see RSI going down, MACD going down. So I would assume price to be a little bit more soft. But I do think that you're going to have an interesting, pretty soon in the next couple weeks, week or so, you're going to have an interesting area of a handle formation. But I'm not going to buy this until it breaks the 126, 127 area, probably even higher. Yeah, like I have it on the top of here because I want it to be a true break over this price target. So for me, it's going to be more interesting about 132-ish to me to say, okay, solidification of that cup handle formation. Now let's ride this motherfucker to the wheels fall off. Goes to that 200 area, and at the 200 area, you get that market euphoria to take it maybe to the teens or the low 20s to mid 20s. Still 200 would be kind of that area for me. But anyways, thanks. I really appreciate it. I'm going to wrap it up. But as SAR, ABM, OSCR, CRM, and AFRM, I'll put it in the show notes. Go realbullish.com, sign up for the newsletter. Also, I'll drop the link for the shirt. They feel great. I'm just saying, they feel really good. Y'all have a good one. Good luck, everybody.